Well guys, this is my saw. It is 32-inch Maschinenbau Scholz KG. This is the complete restoration project I took, and this saw was rusty all the way up and down, and I needed to disassemble the whole machine before I could start using it. All the wooden parts were rotted, all the bearings were changed, every surface that was metal here was covered in rust. The table was completely covered in rust, but it was just superficial rust here on the table, and the table is nearly perfectly flat. I don't think that rust did anything to this one, and it was nearly as when it came out from factory. Interesting thing, this auxiliary table here is cast iron, and from the old bandsaws I wanted to buy, this is the only one that came with cast iron auxiliary table. And regarding to that, it is, even this table, it is very nicely built. I didn't give effort to it to scrape it down, to remove all the paint. I just painted it over it because this saw was a big bite I took, and that was the thing, the only thing I didn't restore completely. But as it is very nice. One thing I needed to make was the guides, because the guides that came on the saw were, I don't know how to put it, they were not adequate for purpose that I have for this saw, and I made this guide, and it is adjusted by unscrewing these knobs, and all the brass knobs are also made by me. Just a nice touch. This block of wood, it is some South American type of hardwood. I do not know the name because I bought it online, and the seller did not have the specific name for it. It is somewhat similar in weight and hardness to the Brazilian rosewood, but color is very much different. Smell is rosewood-like. I think it is some kind of rosewood, but I don't know what it is. It looks like cocobolo, but it is not cocobolo, because I have Brazilian and cocobolo pieces here in my shop, so I don't know what it is. It is quarter sawn piece of wood, and it serves a purpose here. It is very hard. And these guides are adjusted by using the tool that goes in this hole and moving up and down, and when you move it up and down, I will show it to you. Just a sec. Here is the so-called tool. See, when you move it up and down, it goes away and closes on the bandsaw. blade, and when you're satisfied with the result, turn the knob, and that's it. The upper guide just goes front and back, and you do this, and it is it. Same deal with the lower guides, and this is my setup for using this saw. This stable insert was not with these holes yesterday. I was having troubles with dust collection, and because these saw make a massive amount of dust, so I made this box here. By the way, the lower guides are not in the same plane because the castings already have the hole to receive the lower guides, and those lower guides, those holes for the lower guides that were before on this bandsaw were like this. So I used the existing holes for the new bearings, and I can adjust them the same way I can adjust the upper guides. And I made this little box. And now no more dust. It is almost dustless when you use it. The blade I'm currently running is Lennox Woodmaster B. It is 27 millimeters wide. It is hard blade. It needs a lot of tension, and sometimes I think I'm over tensioning it, but I mean, I'm pushing it like very hard and nothing happens. Maybe here, I know I cannot film it, but this blade takes a lot of tension to work properly, and fortunately the cast iron bandsaw can take it. It can take much more. One interesting thing when I started restoring this bandsaw was the wheels, and in order to change the blade you need to remove the lower cover or guard. Take it as you wish. Sorry guys, I will have to do this two-handedly. And here is the lower rail. I added this brush the other day so I can keep the wheel somewhat clean. One interesting thing, these are 32-inch wheels. One interesting thing, I was not sure about what I'm going to use for this saw, as for rubber or something else, and I used rubberized cork, and it is the same as almost the same as the rubber, but it is the cork, and I am super happy with it. It is, I've used this saw like, I don't know, half a year or something, and it is performing very nicely. One thing about, again, about this Euro style saws is that the teeth are hanging off the edge of the wheel. You can see it here. And this is the setup I'm running. I could have used the center gullet to go to the center, but I prefer to run the saws like this because I can use the whole width of the wheel, so it can accommodate like 2-inch wide blade or 50 millimeters or wider. I think like 60 is I think 60 millimeters is top number that this saw can run. So now the saw is running smoothly, running quietly. One other thing I did to it is I changed the running speed of it. It was running at about 4,500 feet per minute. I think it is at like 25 meters in seconds, I'm not sure. And I lowered the speed because I like to use this bandsaw slower, to push the wood slower, and at that speed I did not felt comfortable using it as it is. It was running smoothly as it runs now, but now I have slowed it down to about 3,600 or 700 surface feet per minute, and I'm much more satisfied with performance of it. I'm going to turn it on so you can see it running. Just a second, I need to take the guard and put it back in place. Here is the resawing clip. This is 25.5 centimeters white oak board. It is around 10 inches wide, and I am going to use Woodmaster B by Lennox B-metal blade, and I have already done one pass to see how it's going to go, and it was fine. So now I'm going to make a video. Here is the finished product. It is a very thin board. And here is the finish, and I'm pretty satisfied with the finish because this is a rough cut blade, so this kind of finish is not so bad, because usually bandsaws leave rougher surface than this. And as for thickness, so that is it. I detensioned the blade, and I detension it every time I'm not using the saw. I think it's a good thing for blade, for the wheel cover, rubberized cork, and generally for the saw, because these blades take a lot of tension and it is not necessary to leave it tensioned. Just my peace of mind. And one more thing I forgot to mention is resaw height, and it comes at 45 centimeters, and width of the cut is 78 centimeters. I do not have the whole 80 centimeters because of the blade cover, and that's about it. I forgot to mention, I am going to put a small video in the ending of this one, of this machine, when I received it and the condition that was in, so you can see what state was it in when I got it. Thanks. Hi guys, this is my new acquisition. 800mm bandsaw, German build, quality and heavy machine. It is huge. It is the biggest machine I ever purchased. Right now it is on its side because we unloaded it from a van this way, and this is my new restoration project. The machine is in rough condition, but only cosmetically. All the bearings are perfectly fine, the wheels are fine. The only thing that I need to do it is to repaint it, to strip it down and repaint it. And here are the lower wheel protection, and I need to make furthermore protection from the blade for it, and that will be a project on itself, because this machine is so huge. I mean, here's my hand. The main column is so wide and so thick. Very nice machine. And the wheels, they just keep turning. The bearings are perfect. This will spin for 5 minutes probably. And one thing I did not expect was that this auxiliary, let's say auxiliary table, is original to this machine, and it is cast iron also. And all the saws I went out to see had wood table or some thin aluminium or something else. I never saw the saw with the original part with it. And one problem I have is that this motor is 500 volts industrial motor, and I don't have that kind of power, so I think I am going to replace this motor with regular three-phase 380 volts. I think 3 kilowatts will be sufficient. This one is 4, but I don't plan resolving really tall wood, so I think 3 kilowatts will be sufficient, but we will see. And oh man, the table is in very nice condition, no cracks, no nothing, only superficial rust. The slot for the saw is in perfect condition. All the saws I watched were banged up here from the saw, destroyed when the saw came off the running wheel, and this one seems to not see too much of a use. This will be a big task to get to my workshop because I have narrow hall and few stairs, and because of that I need to disassemble it completely, to take everything I can from this machine so I can, with help, get it out of here.